And we are live, better late than never. That's how we roll here on the Benefit of a Doud podcast. Hello and welcome to the Douding Thomas monthly recap for January 2022. It's our first Douding Thomas of the brand new year, and joining me because the Thomas to my doubting is Clifton M. Thomas. How you doing, Cliff?
I am excellent. I'm a little caffeinated now.
All
And
right.
I'm feeling good. And as I always say, I have good company, which makes it all lots of fun.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, yeah,
Mm.
no, thanks for coming on. This has been a bit of a marathon session, a little inside baseball. We've recorded the last two top stories for this podcast right before we got onto this, so this is our third podcast of the evening. But hopefully, after we're done here, we can take 2 weeks off. But I gotta say, we're a few episodes into season 3. I'm kind of digging this panel podcast stuff. It's kind of working for me. It really
I
is.
like it too.
And another change to season 3, the Twitch broadcast. We're up to I think it's 4 followers on Twitch now, so that's kind of cool. And I don't know. I don't think you've actually jumped on when I've been recording, but basically it's just me recording my script. And if I do well, then it's great. Then you get like a preview of what the news is going to be, and if I don't, then it's hilarious. So,
You know,
and
I actually just installed Twitch on my phone again after not having it there for a while. So I need to
mm,
go in and subscribe to the Benefit of the Dow channel, which listeners you should be doing as well, so that you'll know when Adam goes live
yep,
and you can join him.
twitch.tv/benefit of Doud. Or
Something else that
benefit of the Doud. I'm sorry.
just as an aside, one thing that you should also check out as listeners, because I think we're all one big family here, us and
Mm-hmm.
some of our guests that we've had, and I think two-time guest Michael Fisher has started streaming on
Yeah,
Twitch
I saw
doing
that.
retro gaming. I've probably attended like 5 out of the like 7 that he's done, and it's a lot of fun. So if you have again another reason to install Twitch, if Benefit of the Doubt and Adam reading
If
scripts
if
live isn't enough for you, there's another reason.
Well, I'll tell you the reason I started doing the script reading live was because I over the winter I heard about these study streamers that are they're
Hmm.
people that they're doing Twitch streams of them studying or like working or stuff like that. It's basically like kind of like you're watching somebody, study for, and they do it for like 12 hours a day. And that's actually kind of a growing community in the
Hmm.
Twitch space, and largely it's because of the social isolation of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
but also like they say it's very motivating for them because there's this subconscious people are watching me, I better get stuff done, and it's kind of like the same feeling that you get when you go to a library. Like
Right.
when you're
Right.
sitting at a
Hmm.
library, if you're sitting there diddling on your phone, people are going to be there with giant books open in front of them. They're going to be looking at you like, what are you doing diddling on your phone like that? So it's kind of like that, that social pressure that you get, but it's all being done online. So that's why I started doing the live stream of the script reads, because it's another platform to get on, which is fine, and it's fairly low effort, so that's good.
Right.
And yeah, so it's just it adds maybe a little bit of extra work, because normally when I screw up a script, I'm just like, oh darn it, now I'll actually look at the camera and be like, you see what I have to do here, so it's there's a little bit more to edit out. But in general, I've
You know,
gotten
I
yeah.
think the inside baseball stuff, though, so to speak, that making the sausage, if you will, is really
Mm-hmm.
interesting, and I think um, it's something that would have gotten me much more into podcasting or listening to podcasts and watching live content than I would have in the past. If this had existed, 5 to 10 years ago. So I
Yep.
welcome it, and I think it's really cool, and yeah, especially with how isolated everybody is, it's definitely a nice little addition. So
Yeah.
yeah, and if you guys aren't Patreon subscribers and you like a little bit of extra content, also, uh, you know, feel free to toss a couple of bucks
Yeah.
Adam's way, and you'll get some extra stuff as well. So
I would appreciate it. Like for example, these Doubting Thomas episodes are for patrons only when we record them live. Now, one thing I don't like about Twitch is they want you to have a set schedule, which I don't necessarily have that. Like, I won't always record my scripts on a Friday night or on a Saturday. So like it's kind of rough in that regard. Like, I can't tell people exactly when I'm going to be recording my script because it's basically when I'm done writing it.
right.
And I've also wondered if maybe I should add on, and maybe I'll do this later, but maybe I'll add on like maybe like a regular Thursday night thing where it's me writing the script, so it's like me kind of like sounding out, jokes and sounding out the stories and maybe like that. I don't know if I want to get into it that far, but what I will tell you, here's my Twitch promise to you is if we can get 20 people watching a stream of me recording the script, I will continue the stream through the editing process as well. So you can see like how the sausage is made, like literally, like how I, go through and like where I make my cuts. And I think it could, honestly, if it were me, I would be kind of geeked to see something like that because like, I'm just saying, I know a few tricks that can be handy. So like, yeah, I think that could be really cool. So the first time I get 20 people watching a script read stream, I will stop the recording when I'm done recording the script, and I will go straight into the editing process with a shared screen so that you can all see how it gets done. So
very interesting. Sounds fun.
I don't know how that's going to work, to be honest, but anyway. So so we've actually filled up enough material here that we can continue on because we only did half a month this month, so there's really not a whole lot to talk about compared to a normal month. But we started off the month with a kind of a sort of CES recap, and I'm actually going to tie in our Beyond a Doud with Nirave at the same time because he was actually there on the ground at CES, and so we can get some of his impressions in there as well. So I thought CES was a really interesting show. It was very fascinating to watch it get systematically dismantled over a period of about 24 hours in early December. But like from what I've heard, like the people that actually went to CES, it was actually a really good experience, and not just because there was nobody there. Like, but it was actually rather mobile centric, like surprisingly mobile. I mean, I wouldn't say centric, but there was a lot of mobile going on there.
Right.
So
it would have honestly been even more so had not so many companies pulled out because of what was going on. Right. It was
right. But and you know what's going to be challenging is, we talked about this. I think we talked about this on the CES podcast, but since we're going to be doing a lot more panel podcasts for this show, there's going to be not as much to talk about in Doubting Thomas because we'll have already covered it during the panel podcast. But yeah, so like we saw the launch of the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE, which didn't happen at CES, but during CES. And by the time this goes to air, my review of that phone will finally be going up on Digital Trends. I've been working on that thing like all week. It's been a slog. I'll be honest.
Your first review of a device for Digital Trends?
Oh no. I did the you'll remember I did the Duo, the Duo 2.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've done.
Like you haven't been working for them that long. I keep forgetting that you started with that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and not to mention when you say device, I've been freelancing with them for like 2 years.
Right.
So like all bunch of like vacuums and smart light bulbs and 6 doorbells in a row. Like, but yeah. So like, no, it's not my first phone review. The Duo was my first phone review for them. I'm trying to remember if I've done another official phone review with them. I don't think I have because I only freelanced in the mobile segment for like 2 months before they hired me on full time. And then when they hired me on full time, that was CES season. And I did a surprisingly little amount of writing during for being a staff writer. So
speaking of the
yeah.
duo, real quick, just because I don't think this will be something that makes it in like a segment or something we covered, but the original Surface Duo, my Surface Duo included, just got Android 11. So
Android 11.
Now they're only one version behind most of everybody else.
That's funny. And actually, on a similar vein, Digital Trends, Andy Boxall, our freelancer at Digital Trends, wrote a piece about the BlackBerry Key 2.
I saw that. I actually read it.
And the atrocious software updates that came along with it. And he was telling us in our editorial meeting today, like the hate mail that he got from that piece. And I'm like, well, yeah, you poked the BlackBerry bee's nest. You can't do that because
how is there still a bee's nest?
You say BlackBerry and the pitchforks come out. I'm just saying. If you look at it,
though, that phone, if I remember correctly, didn't get a version level update.
No, I don't think it did.
Still on Android 8.
Android 8.1 Oreo.
Yeah.
So, and like, true story, I had the Key 2. I reviewed it for Board at Work. And so I had it here. And I have a cousin. My cousin's husband was, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but he was obsessed with Blackberries. He loves Blackberries. And so, like, I pulled out the Key 2, and I'm just like, we just had they met me for lunch when I came out by you, and we met him for dinner afterwards. I'm like, they were so nice. I'm just gonna he's such a BlackBerry fan. I'm like, I'm just gonna send him this phone, and I'm like, one more time I'll turn it back on. And I turned it on and I saw Android 8.1, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I can send it away. So sorry, Jeff. But
you are right, though. Totally. I had a Key 1 and I took it to work, and sometimes I gauge like because I'm a phone nerd, right? Just like you. And a lot of the things that I'm excited about, most people aren't excited about.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, I got a lot of comments just asking what it was with the Surface Duo, because it does look very different.
Oh yeah.
But besides that, I mean, I think the most questions I've ever had about a phone were about the Key 1.
Yeah.
The majority of the questions were, is that a BlackBerry? Didn't think they were still around, but
well, it's like
it's just interesting.
When I reviewed the BlackBerry 10, it was one of the last BlackBerries to run the BlackBerry operating system, and I'm talking a long time ago. This is for Pocket now,
right?
But I want to say the final words of that review were, if you decide to carry this phone, just be prepared for the question, is that a BlackBerry?
Yes.
And then be prepared for the follow-up question, why? And that's kind of true to this day. But actually, like, when we got back from Disney at the airport, I saw someone using a BlackBerry Key 2, like in the wild. Really? And I'm like, wow.
What?
And I walked up to him, and you know what I said to him? Is that a BlackBerry? And I flat out told him, I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy, so don't worry. But cool, good on you, man.
Oh, if I'm editing this, I might have to insert a REM shot there.
But anyway, yeah. So, like, getting back to, we were talking about CES, believe it or not. Getting back to CES, there was a lot of stuff there that was, potentially kind of cool. Like, CES has kind of a reputation for, like, being kind of like a lot of throwaway technology. But, like, this year we saw the QD displays coming from, like, I want to say, what was it, Samsung and LG? I think. I think Samsung was like the major player in that particular space.
Specifically.
Yeah. And there was I can't get past that BMW with the e-ink display on the outside. That is just so cool.
It was interesting enough that my wife actually remarked about it like a week after we podcasted. So it wasn't just tech nerds. I mean,
it got through to the normals too.
It did. I think I saw it on like CNN's news and stuff like that. So yeah. It was really interesting, but again, just a concept.
Yeah. So, like, overall, it was a fun show. I think I would have enjoyed going if I could have. But then the following week, we were supposed to cover what we just covered earlier this evening, the trip to the Kennedy Space Center, but that kind of got overridden a little bit. Microsoft decided to, as I put it in the intro, decided to flip over the buffet table, and while they were at it, nuke the locker room. Microsoft purchased Blizzard Entertainment, Activision Blizzard, for $81 billion, I believe
That
it
sounds
was.
right. Or was it 181 billion?
No, it was 81. It was not 181. But so
81
like
billion is still like the gross national revenue of like a small country. So
right. So like I brought on Giovanni Colantonio from Digital Trends, the gaming editor over there, because he was like, first of all, he's a good guy. He's a fun guy to talk to. I don't know if you've listened to like anything else that he's done, but he's got a podcast of his own, and he's got a good podcaster voice. I really enjoy talking to him, and he's also the kind of guy where like you bring up a topic and he just runs with it, and it's really great. So like just professionally speaking, as a podcaster, Giovanni, you know your stuff. I appreciate that. So, but yeah, so he came on and he was talking about like the far-reaching implications of this Microsoft Blizzard deal, like whether or not it'll actually happen, what could potentially upset it, what does it mean for like, Xbox Game Pass users and future Xbox Game Pass users, because believe me, after that purchase, there will be a lot
more
of future Xbox Game Pass users,
Yeah,
and it's just
true. What does that mean for like Stadia or some of the Nvidia's GeForce Now, I think it's called, just when so much IP belongs to one company?
a lot of people are calling monopoly.
A
lot of people are calling monopoly, and that's history is not on Microsoft's side.
Would it be ironic if the Monopoly game series was also intellectual game property of Blizzard Activision?
Can you just imagine the congressional hearings where the congressman's
not only are you a monopoly, you also own Monopoly,
Mr. Nadella. Can you explain to me why you're trying to build a monopoly in the gaming industry? Actually, Senator, we don't own Monopoly. Oh, all right. Well, never mind then.
But we will soon. It'll just be another year.
Oh, man. Anyway, so I'm just trying. I have to think that this is the type of thing where there will be congressional hearings. I mean, there's no way that's not going to happen, right?
You know what? I don't know enough about, because I know there has been a lot of consolidation in the
every industry ever.
Well, right, exactly. But specifically in I don't know what you'd call it. I was going to like game houses or gaming developers is what I should say. Just a lot of smaller developers, and they basically have just like, what is it, like 3 or 4 different like powerhouses, and then indie developers, and and those are purchased all the time too, like with acqui-hires.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
But when you think about it, like especially in gaming, and especially like in the entertainment industry in general, whether you're talking about like writing or movie producing or music production or video game production, like indies can go really far. Beat Saber was an indie developer with like 4 people in it when they first started, and like now they're like one of the biggest VR. I don't even want to say games. So they're like one of the biggest VR presence.
Well, you also have to consider that was basically a new avenue for games.
True.
So they were starting out with little competition.
I mean, Justin Bieber was a YouTuber before he became an international. I mean, like the entertainment industry is an arena where small people can become very big very fast.
I think the
podcasts, for example.
I think the easiest comparison would be like the music industry, when you had, companies like Sony that own like Columbia and a whole bunch of other what would labels, and then conglomerates of labels. I mean, to me that's like the closest thing to what you would call the gaming industry. But I mean, hell, if the FCC, or I don't know, would it be the Federal Trade Commission in this case? But they
FTC,
allowed
yeah.
the FTC. But in this case, the FCC allowed, or the FTC allowed Comcast to buy NBC Universal, and they're a pipe, so they own a bunch of different things. Then what? I mean, I don't understand why they wouldn't approve Microsoft's purchase.
Right. That's very true. That's very, very true. So,
it's also different administrations, and so it changes with the wind.
It all depends on whether Comcast supports abortions or not. I don't think so. Actually, I probably just edit that part out. Anyway, that was a terrible joke. But anyway, it's really fascinating though, like watching the fallout of this particular purchase, because there's true, but like because there's so many stakeholders involved here, and like this is just so much farther reaching than just like Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty's a big thing, don't get me wrong, but there's tendrils sticking out from Call of Duty, like one of the things that Giovanni was pointing out was King is almost a bigger acquisition than Activision, like because King is like Candy Crush and mobile divisions, and they are like perfectly in line with Microsoft's ambitions to just dive into mobile gaming like head first, and like damn the torpedoes and full speed ahead.
In the next month or so, we're going to see the official launch of Android games on Windows 11.
Yeah, hopefully.
I've used the beta. Ain't much there right now. I'm just gonna say, it's not okay. But this is also just an interesting thing to think about, is that Microsoft technically will probably be producing movies because of all the gaming franchises that are getting made into movies.
That's true.
True. It really does. It affects a lot of things that I hadn't even really thought about until you started mentioning this, and then my brain started spinning. And
it's a lot of stuff. Spinning. Did you see the Rock announced that he was going to be working on a movie, for a new game-based movie, and he said it's a game that has been kicking butt for years. I don't remember his exact quote, but the Rock is basically doing another movie based on a game. And he hasn't said what game it is, and I'm kind of hoping it's Candy Crush, but I don't think it is.
I don't even know how that works.
It wouldn't surprise me to see like a Call of Duty movie, or something like that.
Not at all.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Like that span like time travel and like spanning different eras and stuff like that. They could really make some interesting.
Ooh. What would make a good movie? Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
That would make a really good movie. In fact, isn't there an Assassin's Creed movie? Now that I think about it, isn't that the one where Jake?
Prince of Persia, which
that was Prince of Persia.
I know. I get those mixed up.
Was that Jake Gyllenhaal? That was that was that one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was pretty bad.
It'd be a great movie, Prince of Persia. Yeah, we should make that movie. Wait a minute.
Let's see. The Rock was in what? Doom.
He was in Doom.
I can't think of any other gaming movie. Well, other than Jumanji, but that's not really.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I was thinking about it. Activision's been around forever, since I was playing Commodore 64 games. That's how long Activision has been around in some form.
Would G.I. Joe be considered a gaming movie? No, not really.
Not really.
Rampage.
Yeah,
he was in Rampage.
Well,
I Googled it, by the way. But I just Googled gaming movie Dwayne Johnson, and for some reason Free Guy came up. But is San Andreas? That's not a gaming movie, is it?
No, not to my knowledge.
I kind of like this article here. You know what? Oh, shut up, Google. I'm gonna add this to my news roundup actually for this week. It's an article titled The Rock is doing another video game movie, so let's consider the possibilities. And Fortnite. Good one. But no, there was the Google title for this was The Rock is in another video game movie. These are the terrible possibilities.
He really is in like everything right now. Wow, we have really strayed off of the topic here.
Well, you know what? Not a lot has gone on this month, honestly. So that's kind of okay. And actually, I suppose we should just take this opportunity to go ahead and transition over. I think this is going to be a shorter episode anyway, just because we're only working with half a month here anyway,
Right.
and I'm getting hungry and I want to go eat. So anyway, we should do, before we get too much farther, we should do our patron shout outs. And that is going to start with Mr. Zachary Palmer. Thank you, Zachary. Mr. Scott Brady. Thank you, Scott. Mr. Neil Wilson. Thank you very much, Neil. Mr. Mike Hahn, friend of the show, Bender. Thank you very much, Mike Hahn. Michael Kepper. Keeper or Kepper? I literally
Kepper.
Don't remember.
It's Kepper,
I know
isn't it?
this until I say his name. Anyway, Josh Stone. Oh, thank you, Michael. Josh Stone. Thank you, Josh. Chaim. Thank you very much, Chaim. And Clifton Thomas, who for some reason is still paying to work on this show. God bless you, sir. Anyway, so those are our patrons who are contributing $5 or more. They get a shout out on every Douding Thomas monthly recap. And I'm going to throw a little bonus in here. If you become a new patron at the $5 level or more, I will read any name you want. So if you want me to read Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day, I will read Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. I'm just saying. So just
all right, let's put an
patreon.com/benefit of the doubt.
We reserve the right to refuse names based on if they don't meet a certain standard. No racism,
you know what?
No.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess there have to be certain okay, just keep in mind I'm a Democrat. Okay, let's just go from there. Anyway, so so then the last story that we had of the month was the story that we just talked about an hour ago, and that was our full review of the Kennedy Space Center trip. And Cliff, have you thought of any additional details you wanted to cover since in the 40 minutes it has been since we
I still want to go.
Talked about this? No, you definitely.
Oh, I know what I
go.
wanted to ask you. This was like one of those things that had pop up in my head, and I couldn't sneak it in.
This is the best opportunity.
So I saw that you purchased the space station Lego set. Did you buy that at the Kennedy Space Center?
I did not. That was actually a birthday present from my wife.
Oh.
That she actually ordered. My wife ordered like a bunch of Christmas presents for me, and none of them came by Christmas. And it's not like she was like, sleeping on it or anything.
Yeah,
she ordered them like a week in advance or something like that. Just
Shipping
none of them showed up. None of them showed up. Like all of my stuff got there fine. Even stuff that I didn't order from Amazon got there fine. But like I was also ordering like around December 1st. And I know my wife was not that early. But yeah, so like when we got home from Disney, I had like a stack of boxes for like all my Christmas presents that I could open.
I didn't have that. I didn't have any trouble getting the presents that I ordered in time. What I did forget to do though was buy good stocking stuffers. And so my wife, got me nice presents, but really good stocking stuffers. And I was like, here's an orange.
Oh my God.
It wasn't that bad, but it was definitely like Walmart stuff.
I'm surprised you're still alive. No, and true story actually for our Christmases, I never did stocking stuffers. Like growing up, my parents would do the stockings and whatnot, but I never did stocking stuffers. So like when I first started dating, and then subsequently married my wife, suddenly stocking stuffers were a thing that I had to do. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So like every year, it's actually kind of an annual tradition. I will go to Target on like somewhere between December 22nd and 23rd, like somewhere in that neighborhood, and just walk around and like just see what strikes me as like something. And my wife, she will give me a list. She'll give me like a list of stuff that she would like. But what I'll do is I'll take the opportunity. I'll go look at like a perfume that I like the smell of, or and I always make it a mission to buy the ugliest hair clip that I can find, just to see if she'll wear it.
So what you're saying is that stocking stuffers are a social test, or
Yeah, basically. And like this year, this year one of my stocking stuffers was a bottle of Jack Daniel's Black, or no, not Jack
nice.
Daniel's. I'm sorry, Johnny Walker Black. And so like best stocking stuffer ever.
So I
Um,
was updating a menu for my day job,
okay.
and they were updating liquor prices, and I updated a Johnny Walker Blue. Holy crap!
Yeah.
That's expensive.
Yeah. So we went to while we were at Disney, we went to one sit down restaurant while we were there. Like everything, we didn't make our reservations nearly early enough, so everything was like sold out. But we found one restaurant in Hollywood Studios that had a reservation, and I ordered the Johnny Walker Blue. I want to say a glass of it was 60,
Yeah,
$80, something like that, something in that neighborhood. I ended up getting a Macallan 15
that's expensive
for
too.
like it was like 30, it was like
Yeah,
30, 35, something like that. And then
Macallan
I went with
15 year is good though.
it is. Oh, it is. It
Yeah,
was excellent. So I got that, and then after the see what you do is you drink the good stuff first, and then
yeah,
once you've had the good stuff, you drink the cheap stuff.
yeah.
So after I did the Macallan 15, then I got I think I want to say it was like a Johnny Walker Black or something like that.
Words of
Um,
wisdom from
words of
Adam Dowd.
drinking words of wisdom, but no. So like some of the things that we didn't do at the Kennedy Space Center was and part of it was I wanted to leave stuff for like the next time.
Hmm.
And I know they were actually building a new attraction coming in spring of 2022. So I'm interested to see what they're going to open there.
Hmm.
But I think the next time I go to the Kennedy Space Center, I think it will be explicitly to see a launch. Like
Yes.
that would be I think that would just be amazing. Like just seeing that in person. Like I've seen it on movies so much,
Right.
and I have to wonder like how much of what I see in the movies is like straight up just point a camera at a rocket and watch it go up, and how much of it is like slow motion and more
Mm.
dramatic stuff, and like I just
All
kind of
of
want to see it.
the ice falling off of the sides
Right.
of it as it goes up. And I was going to ask you though,
Yeah.
because I know, I mean, so much of what's actually going up into space that's covered now, and is commercial industry stuff, and so I was gonna, I think, if I remember right, and I was gonna ask you if this is true, isn't I think either Blue Orbit
Origin.
or Blue Origin or SpaceX are actually launching from Kennedy at sometime, aren't
SpaceX
they?
is, yeah, all the time.
SpaceX, okay, that's what I
So
thought.
Blue Origin launches from their facility in Texas. However, Blue Origin actually does have a warehouse across the street from the Kennedy Space
Yeah,
Center.
what's
So like as you're driving into the Space Center, the first thing you see is a Blue Origin big dick.
yeah. I
So,
think it's just like California and Silicon Valley. You have those concentrations of
mhm.
engineers that that's where the talent is. It's like why because Lenovo's, or I'm sorry, IBM is in Raleigh in North Carolina, so you have a whole bunch of, like, that's where Red Hat is. That's where there's just a whole there's these little pockets of.
Yeah, yeah. So I did not see a SpaceX facility, but like Blue Origin was very obviously right across the street
Yeah.
from the entrance. So there was little left to the imagination there.
Huh.
But man, just like
Did you see the big penis?
I saw the big penis logo on the outside, which is a feather. I've since learned, but yeah, like, and you know what? I didn't even realize this, but like when you pull up a space satellite image of the Kennedy Space Center, you can actually see like I don't know if you saw the picture that I posted on Twitter about the stolen joke. Here's a reminder to get your boosters. But like when you're going in to see the Space Shuttle Atlantis, you actually walk underneath mock-ups of that the two boosters that would launch the space
Oh no,
shuttle
I
into
didn't see
space.
that post.
And like if you go to like Google Maps or Google Earth, you can actually see that rocket, like that the thing that you walk through.
I don't know what the post about the bird was though, and I forgot to ask. You never told me.
The bird. Oh,
On It was
how
a falcon, wasn't it? Or
the
a
hawk.
hawk. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about that. So the story of the hawk is when before I decided that I didn't like making videos, I was going to make a video called My Trip to Disney as Seen Through the Lenses of the iPhone 13 Pro and the Google Pixel 6.
Yes.
So for the entire vacation, I walked around with these two phones in my pocket, and every time I would stop to take a picture, I would pull out one phone, take a picture, put that in the pocket, pull out the other phone, take a picture, put that in the pocket, and continue on. And it probably drove my family a little nuts, but it was just, and not to mention, especially when you add in the fact that, like, for a lot of pictures, I was doing an ultra wide, and zoom in, photo.
Mhm.
So it was like 6 pictures,
Oh,
all told.
I've helped you with these. I know how it goes.
You've seen me do it.
Yep.
So, so whatchamacallit, when we were at Epcot the one day, I had to go back. We had to go back to the entrance to. I think it was to get one of the. We rented one of those scooters to like scoot around in because my wife's feet were. She has diabetes, and like that causes like a lot of foot issues,
swelling.
So yeah, so we rented one of those scooters. So they had like a waiting list when you first got there if they didn't have one. So we went to Epcot and we got on the waiting list. While we were at Tomorrowland, we got a notification saying the scooter's ready. So I hoofed it back to the entrance, and while we were there, I was waiting for something to happen, and I was sitting on some steps, blah, blah, blah. I think that's actually when I shot that video that we were talking about with the Disney app, with the circle, in the Disney. That's when I shot that video. Anyway, so we got the scooter, and my family went back to Tomorrowland. I was right behind them, and I was following them, and I looked up and I saw this hawk sitting on the top of the building. So I grabbed my iPhone, took a picture, 1 picture, 2 picture, 3 picture, and then I like zoomed in. Actually, the zoom on an iPhone, fairly impressive at 15x, I gotta say. Anyway, so I took a picture of this guy, put the phone back in my pocket, reached in my other pocket. There was no phone there. So I said, shit, where's my phone? So I'm like, we were over by the entrance last. That was the last time I had it. Because I'm taking pictures obsessively throughout our entire trip. No, it wasn't Epcot.
You're in Florida, so you don't have your jacket of 1,000 pockets.
Right. It was actually Magic Kingdom, because that's where Tomorrowland is. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. I'm just like, we were just at the entrance, and I've been taking pictures like obsessively. I know that was the last time I had it. So I just like started beelining it back. And and I don't remember if I said this on the podcast or not, but I had the iPhone with me, and you can't do Find My Android Phone on an iPhone. They don't have that app. Like, they don't have the Android device manager. So I had to open up Chrome, go to the device manager website, log in, and I'm like doing this while I'm like running back to as fast as a fat guy runs, while I'm running to the entrance. And I like pulled up the phone, and I saw that it was over by the entrance, because it shows you like where the device is. So I hit the ring button, to make the device ring. So it rang for a couple of seconds, and then it stopped. Okay. So I hit ring again, and it rang for a couple of seconds, and then it stopped. So I hit ring again, and it rang for a couple of seconds, and then it stopped. And right then I said, okay, good, I'm safe. So I put my iPhone back in my pocket. I slowed down, and I walked at a nice leisurely pace to the Lost and Found. And here's why. When you ring a phone, like, you lose your phone. When you ring a phone, someone picks up the phone and says, can't use that one, it's under embargo. When someone picks up the phone, then they say, oh, stop ringing.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I thought was going on.
Then you ring it again, and they're like, what? This thing's ringing again? Stop ringing. Now, if they are going to take your phone, or they're going to attempt to get away with your phone, at that time, after the second ring, they turn it off. If you ring it a third time, and they stop the ringing, that means you're okay. Because that means they haven't turned off the phone.
Right.
They don't have any intention of getting away with it. So that's why I walked to the Lost and Found, and I walked in and I said, hey, I'm looking for my phone. It's in a Kylo Ren case. It's a Google Pixel 6. They're like, what's that? I'm like, here, beep. And so it started ringing again. They're like, oh, that one. Okay. And they came back out and they're like, so can you tell? And they came back out. And they're like, can you tell me, what does the phone look like? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'll do you one better. Ring. And it started ringing. They're like, oh, yeah, that's it. Okay. And then they handed it over to me. So, but had I not stopped to take a picture of that hawk, I would not have realized that I left my phone somewhere. So, therefore, the hawk saved me $600.
Interesting.
And it was funny because we had ordered food. And, and like we said during the podcast, all the food is done through the apps and stuff like that. So I had actually ordered the food for my family. And so while I'm running back to this Lost and Found place, my wife knew what happened. She knew where I was going and where I was, because I had sent my son ahead and said, go tell mom I lost my phone. I'm going to go get it back and blah, blah, blah. So she texts me. She's like, I can't get the food. And I'm like, that's not my biggest problem right now.
Oh, because you was on your phone, the app that you had ordered.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha. So she's like, I can't pick up the phone. And I'm like, or I can't pick up the food. I'm like, that's not my biggest problem right now. And I told her, I'm like, I'll tell you what, if I forget about the phone, I'm okay with that, but I'm going to buy another one. So, but anyway.
That stopped the I can't get the food complaints.
Right. No. So that was my hawk story for Disney.
Gotcha. Okay.
But all right, you know what? I think that's a pretty good place to wrap things up, right? Speaking of which, lots of birds of prey circling at the Kennedy Space Center for some reason. We don't know why. I took a picture. There were 30 birds.
Well, it's a lot. It's probably a lot of tarmac.
Yeah.
Which means you're getting
heat reflections.
You're getting the heat rising off of the tarmac.
So they're getting the thermals.
They're
catching the thermals.
Yeah, so it's easy. It's an easy place for them to hang out because they're not having to spend a lot of energy flapping. And
interesting.
That would be my theory. And then too, I mean that you see that a lot with seagulls in North Carolina where I used to live, because they would come inland from the coast. And they would hang out in actually where I used to work in Circuit City. They would hang out in those parking lots for the same reason, because they can just go la-di-da and hang out. Anyway, yeah. So
yeah. Anyway, all right. Theory. So yeah, let's go ahead with that. We'll go ahead and wrap things up. Actually, this went a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, so that's good. We have good content here. So, so let's go ahead and wrap this up for the Douding Thomas monthly recap for January 2022. We are in season 3 of the podcast. It's exciting as heck. And we're having a good time. So, Cliff, thanks for coming on and chatting with me about the month that was. And for everybody else, I want to thank you for listening and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.
And scene.
And this time I'm